I am of the pure mind of God. I am the resurrection and the life in my body, my finances, my relationships, and my world. I qualify everything in my world with perfection. I am perfection. I am this perfect day, and the life that lives in me is the light that cannot fail. I accept only God's perfection, His good, in my outer circumstances. I know in my heart that God is all in all. I am absolutely not concerned about what happens, because I know wonderful things are happening now.
Hello everyone, this is Vernita. I just want to give my experience at the workshop last November in Wisconsin with Matthew David Hurtado's workshop. I attended the workshop with fibromyalgia, very sick, the fog, in pain, and I believe it was the first day. He did the entrainment set, and I experienced immediate relief from fibromyalgia. 2 days later, after returning home, I continued the entrainment sets for 1 week. I'm honest, just for 1 week. And I'm looking for like side effects from fibromyalgia: pain, dizziness, muscle pain, the fog, all the crap that goes with fibromyalgia, and no symptoms. That was November, December, January, February. I am absolutely pain-free, medication-free, no medications, zero, nada, and no fog, no nothing. If you ever have the opportunity to attend one of his workshops, do so, because a miracle will happen. Attend. Vernita Hamblin. Fibromyalgia is gone completely. Bye.
Hey, it's Matthew David. So I'm sitting here Christmas Eve, and like my last video said, I am going to work with this name the fear process and work on some cleaning up before New Year's begins. I want to walk you through my personal discovery and pretty much what I do. I'm sitting in a silent room. I've been in one for at least an hour and a half now. And what I found is that, I enter this place, the secret place, and the silence is my teacher, and all is revealed. When you ask, it is given. So I ask the question, Spirit, I am presence within. Come forth and provide all knowledge in all things, revealing your mysteries to me at once. Now I'm letting this go to God because it's really God's floor here. What I'm saying is, you have the podium, God. Speak, and I'm listening. I put my fingers to the keypad, and I just let the flow, the stream of thought just pour out. So here we go. It says, hello, dear Matthew David, son of David and Goliath. The idea is that David is the spiritual awareness of man's direct relationship to God. Goliath is the idea of men, the erring mortals who are around you. It's a story about relationship. Man, who could no more live in matter than he does in a dream. For what is inverted is the opinion that men dream at night while they sleep. Conversely, the antipode of matter is the spirit, where men are set free from the body at night. Night pertains to the loss of focus. on the external and complete surrender to the infinite presence via a letting go. The stone that is launched toward Goliath's forehead, it's the letting go, because it's 5 stones that he put in his bag, and the number 5 represents the resurrection. It's the letting go of identification with material consciousness. David slung the will of men back upon the giant behemoth lie, placing the suffering back on the head of sin itself. A giant Philistine warrior represents the haughty and arrogant will of men. The slingshot represents the tiniest of spiritual faith that produces a kill shot to human ignorance. David refused to fear. That was his first miracle. Next, David chose to face the great warrior and stare at him face to face. No better example of this confrontation could be imagined other than staring at the evils of this world, the hostile threats from out there, all aimed at the material man of men who walk in flesh and bone. Facing the arrows that mortal mind tosses at you to appear like a giant Philistine warrior of fear, and carrying your slingshot, ready to fire your faith directly towards the threat. That's the cipher. For instance, assume you have a problem with a threat of being wiped out financially. We hear talk about all of this every day, all day now. The cost of things going up, the unemployment rate. You see, these are the Goliaths that show up, the health, the relationships, the money. Whatever can captivate you in sorcery and bondage becomes the Goliath. This warrior appears to be undefeated, almighty as a god on the earth, having laid major carnage in its path for eons. You stare at this idea and sling a stone right at its forehead. Here's one that works. See, imagine the slingshot, right? You have to pull back, right? Pull back. Look at what you're doing. You're pulling back. You're turning within. Pull back out of, focus on the world itself. Turn back within. Pull back your consciousness into the inner kingdom. Now, in this inner kingdom, just repeat this. I am not in the realm of incurring debts. All the debts of this world, like the prodigal son, they are not mine. For that realm is bound to flesh and material men. That includes sin, sickness, disease, poverty, and all human suffering. It was all carried on the cross by Christ. It's all bound to matter. Again, I am not in the realm of incurring the debts of this world, for that realm is bound to flesh and material men. I am set free by my Father, who hath shown me that his life was never of flesh and bone. Erring human belief claims a condition that remains deficient. I know no deficiency, for I and my Father are now one. God is the only mind at work, the only law in operation, and the only consequence of knowing my Father is his will for me to prosper. Now you see, you have fired the pebble directly at the Goliath's forehead of superstition, human reasoning, based on a life in flesh, and the time-space illusion. What you have visioned in a dream for that bondage was the idea of being bound to the realm of flesh and all its opinions, laws, governance, fears, and confusion. Suddenly you wake up. You're no longer dreaming in that dream anymore. Are you still dreaming in the dream of when you were 2 years old, 5 years old, 10 years old, 15 years old? Well, how are you not living in that dream anymore? It's no different than now. Spirit falls asleep as man in the world of matter, so that he, being source, God, infinite, can have relationship with himself and ascend back to spirit, matured by wisdom. David and Goliath is a relationship, standoff point, where the dream of material living ends. That's what the story represents. It's the standoff point when you occupy the state of David and you cut the head off Goliath, which means you no longer walk in human reason. Goliath is where? The outer aeons. He is a threat. Any threat that arises from a place of a spiritual deficiency. That's what matter is. A dream or loss of awareness of the I am presence and living imagination as all in all. Ignorance of the Father is the only suffering. So you pull back like a slingshot, turning within again to the I am presence, surrendering the dream state. Recall rising out of the dream, realizing that you were asleep and it was all an illusion. Why would you have it inverted? Giving your heart to this world is the Egyptian sorcery that mesmerizes you into adulterated thought. Can a dream kill you? Yes. And what happens next? You recognize it was a dream. You laugh. You feel relieved. The pebble you launch at the giant Philistine's head is the settling in your heart where you laugh and take a big sigh of relief right now. Turn within to your I am presence and declare, it is but a dream of my 5 human senses. Next you declare, I am rising out of this dream now and coming to my realization that God is all in all, and no evil shall befall me, for I am the Son of God and no longer asleep in matter. Capture the victory from within and place your trust in this feeling of the heart. Instant and permanent relief, peace restored. The troubles are not with the Father, but with the ignorance of the ideas within the world of Babylon, the great whore and adulteress, an empty dead carcass that beguiles her chosen captives like the Delilah spell ensnared Samson. Stare at this Goliath and witness him topple to the dust. The cloud of ignorance crumbling around the empty space that matter is, no more real than a sudden fall in asleep, and the immediate rising out of that terror to find yourself safe, loved, cared for, and well again. It's almost as if the voyage to darkness was a mere simulation of thought in a realm where you weren't even there. Awaken out of your dream. Rise out now, O Adam, you dreamer. Wait until you see what God does once you choose to trust Him, believing you have already received from Him the inheritance to be called the Son of God. Would God allow for His Son to be trapped, indebted, a slave to human consequence, in a world of erring opinions? Put on your finest garments and prepare for the wedding feast. The Father is delighted, for His Son has come home. At last His Son has come home. Selah. 1 Samuel 17:40 through verse 51 reads, He took his shepherd's stick and then picked up 5 smooth stones from the stream and put them in his bag. With his sling ready, he went out to meet Goliath. The Philistine started walking towards David, with his shield-bearer walking in front of him. He kept coming closer, and when he got a good look at David, he was filled with scorn for him, because he was just a nice, good-looking boy. He said to David, What's that stick for? Do you think I'm a dog? And he called down curses from his God on David. Come on, he challenged David. and I will give your body to the birds and animals to eat. David answered, You are coming against me with sword, spear, and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the Israelite armies, which you have defied. This very day the Lord will put you in my power. I will defeat you and cut off your head, and I will give the bodies of the Philistine soldiers to the birds and animals to eat. Then the whole world will know that Israel has a God, and everyone here will see that the Lord does not need swords or spears to save his people. He is victorious in battle, and he will put all of you in our power. Goliath started walking towards David again, and David ran quickly towards the Philistine battle line to fight him. He put his hand in his bag and took out a stone which he slung at Goliath. It hit him on the forehead and broke his skull, and Goliath fell face downward on the ground. And so, without a sword, David defeated and killed Goliath with a sling and a stone. He ran to him, stood over him, took Goliath's sword out of its sheath, and cut off his head and killed him. When the Philistines saw that their hero was dead, they ran away. Now consider problems in general. We have in Group A here, you have problems you call mine, problems that you call others. Well, A would be the emotionally held, they're charged. The electric flow means that their current is on a linear time with resistance. You're seemingly progressing along a time-space illusion in the problem. Now, Group B, others, they could be emotionally held, someone close to you perhaps, family member, lover, colleague, doesn't matter. Or they could be of non-inclusion, where you're just detached. See, the electric flow could be parallel or linear. What I'm suggesting is that if we detach, we're able to go parallel. And that's what this name, the fear process, is going to do. And I'm going to walk you through it. You're going to see how it works. So both A and B have one thing in common. They exist in the same thought. You correct the thought itself. So here we have the one is the ego mind. We have the infinite, the zero. Okay. Now, out of the zero, we take thought for our lives, and then we fall asleep in man. And here we come through the reasoning human mind, right down a series circuit. And this reasoning mind looks like, hey, here we are at birth. We went through 2 years old, 5 years old, 9, 13, 28, 45, 73, and then death, etc. We come on this time frame model that was given to us. You're on a track of thought that is as superstitious and false. It's as fake as a $3 bill. It's phony baloney garbage. But you fell asleep in the idea of it itself, and therefore your five senses reflect back to you the confusion that exists within that idea. So here you have a problem. Take any problem you have. Now, when did it originate? You see, you can peg it in time and space. So take it down here, and let's go parallel. Remove out of your series who, what, when, where, why, and how, trying to solve it. Just stop doing that. Now take it into a parallel time frame where all realities exist right now, and we can choose whichever point of reference we want to drop in on. So maybe your problem began maybe around age between 28 and 45. You just grab a point, there it is. And you can say from that reference point, within that perception, the problem is visible. I see the problem. I see the problem. Here it is. My five senses report this problem is correct. Probably a letter you got in the mail, or a phone call, or somebody said something, or you saw something, or you felt something. One of your five senses, or a combination of them, reported to you that there was a problem, and your mind latched onto that problem in an attempt to bring it to wholeness through the 6 degrees of separation, through your inner, middle, and outer kingdom, by asking the question who, what, when, where, why, and how. It latched onto it and it drove it along a series circuit where you have been living in that problem, going through resistance and more unconscious, driving it deeper and deeper into your fabric of reality. What I suggest to you is that we now just step out of the problem for one brief moment. And it's very simple. Well, we could go to age 2. I want you to drop into a memory at age 2. Go right back and look through your own eyes at any moment that you can remember from age 2 to 10. Just grab any life experience you had from age 2 to 10. Now, looking through your 5 senses, all 5 of them from age 2 to 10, did that problem exist in that experience? No, it didn't. That's interesting. I wonder why. Well, you say because reasoning kicks in and says your big Goliath comes out, and Goliath comes charging at you and says, I am going to feed your body to the birds. I own you. You will submit to my reasoning. I am the real life, the outer aeon ruler. I am their great Philistine warrior, the human reasoning mind. And he takes his sword. It's the sword of flesh and bone, not spirit. See? And he says, well, because you hadn't gotten there yet. You were only 8 in this memory, and you had not gotten to age 31 when this all began. Now reasoning says, I have a compelling story and I have a perfect alibi. But what reasoning doesn't understand is that infinite worlds exist on different frequencies. And frequency and thought coincide together. And you see, if you fall asleep in a frequency thought image of a lie or an illusion or an opinion, you are no longer the same animated, creative, expressing life through those 5 senses as you were on a different frequency thought, animating yourself through the 5-sense dream. It's the same as if you fall asleep on Wednesday night and you have a dream about driving trucks and you're chasing somebody around in a parking lot, and you rise out of that dream and you say, well, that was a good dream, wrote that one down, recorded it in my mind. Well, does it follow that that dream is going to lead you into Saturday night's dream, where you fall asleep on Saturday night and you're making love to the person of your dreams and you're enjoying a passionate, romantic, divine love affair on Saturday night's dream? You wake up Sunday morning and you say, oh, that was just a dream. Well, no wonder. No wonder. You see, Wednesday night when I was in the truck chasing around the parking lot, I hadn't gotten there to Saturday night yet because I had to take that truck and go through all of this other time-space illusion to get over here to that dream. Well, you don't think that way, do you? You say, well, no, this is a dream. You do anything you want in a dream. I could be Saturday night, I could be bowling with my friends, and Sunday night I could have a dream and I'm off on Mars as an astronaut and I'm doing some crazy stuff. I can do all of that, even segments apart in the same dream. The rules are different in a dream. So we've agreed that the rules are different in a dream. But yet, you believe that there is a separate reality where somehow the physics of life have changed, when in fact life has never changed. and life is eternally intact, and life is governed by the same laws and the same rules that never, ever, ever change. So, what I submit to you is that this law, that infinite realities exist all in the same space, all in the same now, on different frequencies, and you can fall asleep into any one of them that you choose based on your frequency, based on the thought you're holding and the emotional state you're in. That is the law that knows no opposite. That is God's law of creation. The counterfeit law is the artificial substrate of material flesh, time-space illusion on shipping lanes as cargo, vessels in dry dock, moving yourself through all of these points, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, all of these different versions of you being drunk in your five senses, calculating all of that data in your Goliath skull, with a recording that it somehow all strings together, and then you try to find all of the reasoning alibis of how it all came together, as if you had such power and capacity within yourself in a flesh and bone condition that never even existed. If you existed in flesh and bone, then how come you don't exist in flesh and bone at age 5 anymore? Well, you say, I grew, my cells expanded, I got twice as big. Well, that's interesting. You see, the science of this world does one thing: it disproves itself constantly, and it leaves the creator out of the creation. It is temporal. And anything that is temporal is not of the mind of God. Only that which is permanent is in the mind of God, and is forever unchanging, forever true. And it is where we steadfast hold on to with our faith, because it brings destruction, like David slinging its stone, its bag of 5, resurrecting power of the Christ. We sling the stone of the resurrecting power of the Christ. The 5 in the bag is the resurrecting power. The bag is the consciousness of the I am presence within. And we pull back, we turn back within ourselves, and we sling that stone, and it hits that human reasoning, and it brings it down, and then we cut its head right off and say there was no continuation of the evidence. It could not be. I did not make human decisions through my own will from age 2 to 5 to 10 to 15 that brought me here to this time space, because there is only now, and there could never be any other moment, because there is no such thing. There is only this moment right now, forever, permanent, always intact. God is the only, God is the only, God is the only. There is no past or future. Omnipresence is not omnipast, omnifuture. And so we seize command of this moment, and we say, get up, get out of the dream. There was no threat. There is no power outside of good, God's mind, forever holding you with its gaze of love, provision, protection, promotion. Turn your heart toward that God which is forever and eternally the true, and turn away from the falsehood. The temporal is the falsehood. If you can go into any memory and look through your 5 senses at any point on your so-called timeline, and those 5 senses are not reporting the same evidence, then it is the very 5 senses that reported them to begin with that had no claim and no continuation of any evidence. Therefore, there is no law, because without the continuation of the evidence, there is no law. And if there is no law, then we know there's only the fruits of the Spirit, which against such are no law. So therefore we occupy the fruits of the Spirit: peace, love, joy, kindness, gentleness, meekness, temperance, faith, self-control, humility, and we remain steadfast in those fruits, knowing that there is no other evidence of anything to the contrary, because God never shared power with anything unlike himself. And you exist in the mind of God. And there are many mansions in God's kingdom, and you exist in all of them, because the allness of God is in the allness within all of itself, and there is no other. There is only God. And you see, you rise out of this dream. It never happened. Of course it never happened, because it was a deficiency where the fruit of the Spirit was no longer in the awareness or the reflection. And if the reflection doesn't reflect that which is, it must be reflecting that which is not. So you are reflecting that which is not. And that is what this dream of terror in the night is. Reflecting that which is not. So that which is not is the trouble that came into the heart. The trouble that came into the heart, when it became unsettled, it became agitated. And we bring it back to a place of rest. And that's why the rest in peace is for the dead, because only the dead get to go to heaven according to human lying opinion. So we put ourselves into the rest in peace, and we allow ourselves to taste heaven now. So when the outer claims of matter come and you say, well, hey, I was at rest in the zero, I was resting in peace until my heart became troubled, and then agitation stirred about and caused me to come into taking thought for my life. Therefore my ego arose out of the nothingness and brought about its confusion, brought about all these terrors in the night. And I recorded them in this Goliath memory bank, this memory stick body of mine, and I brought them through time and space, and I put together a compelling case through my human reasoning, and I concluded that it was because I did this, I did that, she did this, he did that, and all of these judgments have come to haunt me, because now I'm anywhere but the present moment. And the present moment is the time of salvation, and it never changed. It never went anywhere. It always is. And therefore, whenever we are in the is not, reflecting that which is not, we are not in the is. We are not in the present of what is. Therefore, we are not reflecting what is. Therefore, we are asleep at the wheel, falling down here into human reasoning, into human arrogance, into human sin, and we come over here and we drop down into a memory, any memory outside of the problem, looking through those five senses to prove to ourselves that it was not a concurrent series of evidence that we believed it was, and if it was absent at any point in the universe, then it is not God, because God is not absent at any point in the universe. I bring the case before the judge, before the prosecuting lying attorney, telling you that you are guilty of this indebtedness to this world, and I convince the judge that the evidence is deficient. There is no continuation, there is no case, because it is not omnipresent, therefore it is not. And that which is not cannot come against that which is, because that which is has no law against such. I am this perfect day, and the life that lives in me is the life that cannot fail. I am the resurrection and the life in my mind, in my body, in my world, and in all of my affairs. I am of the pure mind of God. And I am free. I am free, and I am free. I am rising out of this dream of the five senses, and I am the knowledge of all that is and all that will be. For there is nothing but God, and God is all there is. Now rest in this peace in your heart. And remember, the battle is not yours. What did David say? David said, "You are coming against me with sword, spear, and javelin." See, these are the weapons of this world. But I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty. I am present to the present in the name of I am. I am is the Lord Almighty within you, the eternal salvation that is your ever-present help in times of need, forever, eternally, in this moment. The God of the Israelite armies, which you have defied. You have defied God, Goliath, for you have built a case against God. God is the good of my life, the eternal goodness in my world, and you built a case against him. Now you want to come against me with all of your accusations and your sword and try to condemn me for something that flesh has done, and I have never lived for one moment in flesh. This very day the Lord will put you in my power, Goliath. For the body is an idea in the mind of God, and it reflects only that which belongs to God. Otherwise, it would be deficient and void of power. Goliath, you are void of power. You have no power. I will defeat you and cut off your head. All of your evidence that you built amounts to nothing because it doesn't exist. Because God didn't make a mistake, and no mistake can find lodgment anywhere in the mind of God. I am an idea in the mind of God, therefore no mistake could ever have taken place. And I will give the bodies of the Philistine soldiers to the birds and animals to eat. See, all of these ideas, these bodies of knowledge that all of these armies of men, these mortals that have come up with and conjured up in their drunken human five senses, I will give all of these ideas to the birds. Then the whole world will know that Israel has a God. And everyone here will see that the Lord does not need swords or spears to save his people. God doesn't need human reasoning. God doesn't need the continuation of the evidence from age 2 to 5 to 7 to 10 to 12 to 14 to 16 to 18. God is all there is. He is victorious in battle, and he will put all of you in our power. And bam, there it is.
Hello, it's Amanda with Alpha Upgrade. This is my favorite ritual. Milkane is a chocolate fat-burning energy-boosting formula that allows you to crush it. Milkane is packed with adaptogens, minerals, and vitamins to help you combat stress, always on your A game. It has brain-boosting power ingredients like bacopa, L-triosine, and more for the ultimate dopamine rush. Hence the name, Milkane.